Okay, this is a review for factoring by grouping and the sum and difference of cubes, problems 1 through 7. Okay, the first problem on the review is number 1. Is 8x cubed minus 3x squared minus 24x plus 9. I recommend that you watch my previous video that goes over the basics of factoring by grouping. Here we're just going to do the problem, and we're going to group the first two pieces here as x cubed, 8x cubed minus 3x squared. Then we're going to group the last two terms as such, minus 24x minus 9. Don't forget that there's actually, you're factoring out a negative 1 here. Okay, now we're going to use our greatest common factor, and we're going to, for this first quantity, we're going to factor out, let's see, how about x squared? If I factor out x squared, I get 8x minus 3. In this case, I'm going to factor out 3. If I factor out a 3, 3 times 1 is 3, so we have minus 3 times x, 8x minus 3. Since both of these quantities are the same, we can group these two terms together as such. And you have just factored by grouping. Again, if this was difficult for you, there's another video that you can watch that breaks this process down a little further. Okay, let's do your number 3. And number 3, we don't have a coefficient, or a 3 and 4. There's no factor there, but we can factor out an n squared. When I factor out an n squared, I get 3n minus 4. Minus this second quantity, the second part right here, there's nothing to factor out except the negative 1. So we're going to factor out the negative 1. But remember, we're going to actually have to call this 3n minus 4. Because negative 1 times a negative 4 is positive 4, which is right here. Now, all we're going to do is put these two together here, and we get n squared minus 1 times 3n minus 4. Now, if you notice from the previous video that I did earlier that this is the sum and difference of squares, like Doc X likes to call dots. In this case, we can further factor as n minus 1 times n plus 1, and then 3n minus 4. Therefore, you have factored completely. Alright, your second two problems we're going to do is the sum and difference of cubes. So here's your formula. You'll be using this formula throughout pre-cal constantly, so just memorize it. In this case, if I were to make this look like our formula here, my a would be x, and we have the plus, so my b would be 5. 5 cubed is 125. Then you just fill out the formula. Since we have plus here, we're going to use the plus from here. So in this case, my a is x, plus my b is 5, times my a is x, and we're going to square it. And now we're going to use the minus here, because the minus, I probably should have did this a little different. So this is plus and minus, no, minus plus. So in this case, we're going to use minus 5x plus 5 squared is 25. And you have factored completely. Let's go over this again. My a was x. My b was 5. And all I did was plug it into the formula. Just to remember this, when you have the sum and difference of cubes, these two match here, but on the trinomial part, the operation signs change. Let's do 2 more. In this case, my a is x, my b is 5. So in this case, I'm going to do use the formula a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So we get x minus 5 times x squared plus 5x plus 25. And that's all there is to it. Let's do one extra. This has the same form as number 7. And so my a is x. That's a cube. And my b is 4. 4 cubed is 64. Well, we should probably set this to 0 like they did. So we're going to have x minus 4. We keep this part the same. The second part is going to be x squared plus 4x. And then you square the b. 4 squared is 16. And you're done. So just practice those.